Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Zip Code Brizzos. I'm your host, as always, Michael John Gallagher the second. And with me, as always, is Adam Jefferson, Ben Jones, and little Jimmy Sorensen. How we doing today, Jimmy?
Good. I am, as we're recording today, I went to Friday Night SmackDown last night.
Sweet. And where?
Lincoln, Nebraska, with the LWO kind of being at the forefront, and it was a big night for me. I had a blast. Lost my voice. I was on a Zoom with Ben Jones last night, and he could attest that I was very, very exhausted by the time we were talking.
Yeah, totally. That takes the life out of you, right? I mean, it's such a great time, but it takes a lot of energy. You get up, you get down, you get up, you get down. It's like it's an experience.
And I lost my voice to the point I was screaming so much, cheering and booing and telling Dominic Mysterio to go back to prison.
Yeah, that's perfect for our show today, because our show today is going to be who, Mr. Jones? And after that, why don't you tell us how you're doing?
Today's show is Mr. Rey Mysterio, the latest inductee of the WWE Hall of Fame.
And can I tell you why Rey Mysterio is the coolest guy in the whole entire world? It's because his 619 moniker, obviously the 619 is a zip code of San Diego, area code of San Diego, but 619, the moniker he so lovingly embraced, happens to also be my birthday, June the 19th. So I will forever be Booyaka Booyaka 619. That's my man, Rey Mysterio.
I love it.
I love it.
That's great.
How you doing, brother?
Good. Yeah, no, having a good week. Easter was a little bit rough. I didn't get to see the boys. So I've got a fridge full of Easter eggs that, I'll partially share with them.
Need finding?
Well, I mean, I have to be health conscious of what they're putting in their bodies, and I think maybe all that chocolate might not be so good for them, so I might have to take one for the team.
Think so.
But yeah, I used that time to really, and you guys probably saw my post on the Facebook group. I used that time to sort of like reflect about how good this AFS community is, and about what a pleasure it is to know the people that I do. And yeah, just thought I'd sort of share those thoughts, with the family. So that kind of helped me. So
excellent. I'm glad to hear that. Mr. Jefferson, how's you doing?
And I am doing fantastic. Kind of bittersweet tonight as I'm ending the second to last day of spring break before I have to go back to teaching. But I've had some great family time, great time with the wife and the kids. We took them to see Monster Jam, got to see Gravedigger, and all the cool monster trucks, and
right,
my son loved it, and it was it's been a blast, man. Just hate to see it end, but
I got one question.
All right.
Were you rolling, keep rolling, keep rolling?
And they should have played that there. That would have been a great song for that, but they I don't remember them playing any music.
Oh, they didn't play bad when Gravedigger came out?
No.
Bad to the bone.
No music?
They were all the trucks were already out there, kind of just parked around.
Really?
Yeah, so they would come, like, one truck would go at a time and do like a few tricks for however many seconds.
And they didn't play like Bad to the Bone while they were doing that?
No, if they did, I couldn't hear it over those engines.
Really? Man. That's funny.
Well,
Yeah. My son and I go every year to Monster Jam. The last 2 years we skipped, but we went for like 6 years in a row. But yeah, every single time they would do it like a trick or something, they would play these songs. So did you guys have a good time at Monster Jam?
Yeah, man, we had a great time. It was just, he loved it. We ended up kind of leaving right before they did the awards, just to kind of beat the crowd and go to a good restaurant, get some good food, and but he absolutely loved it. They're going to Columbia, which is about an hour from us, next weekend, and I think we're going to take him again.
Good. I'm good to hear. So back on Monday and then business as usual.
Back on Monday, business as usual. Spring football will start up at the beginning of May. So gonna really kind of just get busier and busier.
And how's your other podcasts going?
It's just 1 minute thoughts is going good. I kind of took a break from it for these past 2 weeks to kind of retool it a little bit. Kind of realized I got in a rut. It's turned into more of a recap show than I wanted it to be, instead of just being a show about my thoughts on what's going on in the sports world and pro wrestling and all that. So took some time to retool it, and we'll have a new episode out Wednesday.
Excellent. Well, that's good self-awareness.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Mr. Gallagher, how are you doing?
I'm doing a bit of all right, as they say. I started Little League coaching today, and it was very challenging. Michael tested me very, very well. So it was very challenging, and it was a situation that I did not feel very respected by my son. He gets very competitive, as Jimmy knows. And when he loses, he seems to take it out on everybody else. So competition is something that he struggles with. So he took it out on me today. And it was tough because I'm the head coach of the team. So just being in that situation was just a little, it wore me out. I'll just put it that way. It wore me out, trying to remain calm and trying to coach the team as well, while my son was doing what he was doing. So if that was a little too much information, I apologize, but it's been a day. It's been a day. So you guys can laugh. It's fine. Hey, look, it is what it is. Every kid has it, right? I mean, how many times does your kid act up and then somebody comes up to you and like, dude, my kid did the same exact thing like Thursday, right? So I mean,
Absolutely.
Right?
No, you're dead on. Yeah.
So it is what it is, it's really kind of the term we use, but he apologized. So next game, he's going to apologize to his team. We're not sure if we're going to I'm not sure if I'm going to let him play on Tuesday. We'll see. We'll see if he can earn it. But we'll see what happens. So, but other than that, I'm doing good. I got to see you guys last night. We're doing this podcast right now. I got some family coming into town tomorrow, so it's looking good. Everything's looking good.
Excellent.
All right. So, do we have some fun facts about this week in pro wrestling?
Yes, we do. Pretty light on the week, but this is actually one of the more interesting weeks because April 9th, 2000 set off a rather interesting chain of events when ECW champion Mike Awesome signed with WCW, which ended up seeing Awesome become public enemy number one in the eyes of everyone associated with ECW because he was still the champion, signed his contract with WCW. A few weeks later, he lost the title to Taz after his WCW debut. So Taz, who was a contracted star with WWE, beat Mike Awesome, a contracted star with WCW, for the ECW title on an ECW show.
Yep.
So definitely one of the more interesting and kind of more crazy parts of pro wrestling.
I was a big Mike Awesome fan growing up. How about you guys?
I didn't really see much of him, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm not cool like you guys who live in the eastern part of the
I guess that's a good point. I guess sometimes when we live through something or if we're actively watching it, it's a little bit easier to remember versus going back and because I don't really go back and watch, say, old Ring of Honor episodes because I didn't really watch Ring of Honor live or real time, I should say. Whereas when I was a fan at the end, 99, 2020, 2001, when all this was happening, I was watching every wrestling show I could find. So like that Mike would not be watching ECW if he didn't originally watch ECW. So it's not that it was cool because on the East Coast, it was just fortunately it was available and we were fans. But yeah, I was a huge fan of Awesome Mike Awesome, as they call him, which was like, it just makes sense. I love hearing Joey Styles, Awesome Mike Awesome. It's great. So sorry to interrupt, but I always love Mike Awesome.
Also this week, April 11th, 1964, Nature Boy Buddy Rogers is declared the first WWF champion after Vince McMahon Sr.'s defection from the NWA required the promotion to recognize their own world champion. So obviously that set forth what we know now as the WWE.
Oh, that's a good one.
And then, definitely a good one. Obviously because of what it's become now. There's the seed of it right there. Then April 11th, 2011, the night after defeating Alberto Del Rio at WrestleMania 27 to retain the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Edge announced he would be forced to retire immediately due to a serious neck injury. Obviously, he would return at the 2020 Royal Rumble and even more recently have an excellent match against Finn Balor at WrestleMania 39.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable since he's been back.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he definitely has. And you know, to see him, I got to see his first return WWE or WrestleMania match in Tampa. And that was an emotional moment for me.
Who did he fight that second time? I know it was Orton the first one.
You're right. Yeah, the WrestleMania without a crowd was that. Yeah. So
who did he fight at the second one when you guys went to?
Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns for
right for the title. That's right.
Yeah. That's it as far as history notes go, but we do have a pretty big number of birthdays this week. Bianca Belair, April 9th, 1989. Juice Robinson, April 10th, 1989. Dustin Rhodes, April 10th, 1969. The late Paul Bearer, April 10th, 1954. Harley Race, April 11th, 1943. Lita, April 14th, 1975. Jeff Jarrett, April 14th, 1967. And the Professor Mike Tenay, April 15th, 1954.
Dude, it is so awesome you said Mike Tenay, because one thing I wanted to bring up, and I wasn't sure if we really gonna comment too much on the matches and stuff, but when I was watching Eddie versus Ray at Havoc 97, Mike Tenay was in the booth, and I didn't realize how much he knew about different wrestling from around the world, between Japan and Lucha Libre. I mean, the education I got while I was listening to that match today was like, holy crap, dude. It was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
It was awesome. Mike Tenay's a man.
He really is. I think he's very underrated and even underappreciated.
Yeah.
Because of the knowledge that he got.
The Professor. What else? Anything else?
That's it. That's all our birthdays. That's all our history notes.
All right.
Like we can both.
Right. Cool. So now we got our wrestler spotlight, and as Ben introduced before, it is Rey Mysterio Jr. Just a little bit of background on Ray. He debuted professionally at the age of 14. So dude's been wrestling since he's 14, which is insane. And I'm sure he's been wrestling since he was younger than that, but he's been wrestling professionally since he's 14, which again, insane. 3-time world champion. Now, Jimmy and I prepped our notes prior to our recording today, and I thought he only won the title twice, but Jimmy corrected me, and he won the world title 3 times. So thank you for that, Mr. Sorensen. Won the Rumble in 06, then went on to WrestleMania 22 to beat Angle and Triple H. Angle and Cena. I got that wrong again. Angle and Orton in a triple threat match for the title. Some of our favorite memories about Ray, his lawn dart into the side of the production truck by Kevin Nash. I mean, that's.
I mean, is that really a positive memory for Ray? Because he didn't really have a choice, did he?
No. I mean, he's got a few memories that he didn't have a choice about, but I mean, I would say, I mean, it's still everybody still thinks of that nonetheless, right? How he just goes boom into the side of the production truck. I mean, again, whether it's good or bad, it's still probably one of his best ones, right?
Yeah.
And then, talking about what he didn't want to do or what he was told to do is when he had to unmask. Unmask, and I actually printed this out. Super Brawl 9, Mysterio and partner Conan lost a hair versus mask match against Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, forcing Mysterio to remove his mask. Mysterio has publicly expressed his disappointment over his unmasking. I was strongly against it. I didn't think WCW understood what the mask meant to me, to my fans and my family. It was a very bad move on their part. I think the fans understand that I was in a position where I had no option. I either had to lose my mask or lose my job. So that's what he said after getting unmasked in WCW. And then after WCW folded up, he spent a couple of years on the shelf just resting his body up, making more money doing that than he would have if he was wrestling, just because of his contract. And when he came to WWE, I think his first match was against Kurt Angle, if I'm not mistaken, right? At SummerSlam?
Yes.
On SmackDown. It was on
Yeah.
SmackDown, but his first major feud in WWE was against Angle.
Okay, yeah. So when he came in, I mean, it was nice to see Mysterio, because I think Mysterio helped a whole vibe of, guys that size can't do anything. And I think that was a sign of the times that, hey, McMahon's finally, letting this guy get a shot. And I would argue he has best years in WWE versus WCW.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what about the first time you guys saw Rey Mysterio? My first time I was exposed to Rey Mysterio was in ECW. We were just joking about that before. Watching ECW versus his match versus Psychosis. Watching so I didn't watch ECW until, let's say, like late 97, but they put out a bunch of DVDs that had all the stuff from 95 through 96. So that was about the time I started watching ECW. I was going back to the archives and watching that. And then I saw the Mysterio versus Psychosis, and that was my first exposure to Rey Mysterio. What about you, Ben?
Yeah, when I went back and watched a bit of WCW, because I mean, I watched WCW just for like the NWO storylines, but then I would see like snippets of Rey Mysterio's matches. And I remember just being amazed at what he was actually doing in the ring, given his size, because growing up as a WWE fan, I mean, the closest thing I saw to a cruiserweight was like maybe Dynamite Kid or Owen Hart, perhaps. So when I saw Ray doing all those kind of moves, I was like blown away, really.
And you talk about the cruiserweight division. How amazing was that cruiserweight division in WCW?
It was crazy. Like, you had Jericho, Dean Malenko, Eddie, like
Kuvi,
just
Ultimo Dragon,
tearing the roof down with their athleticism.
Even guys like La Parka, but like you were saying, you were just saying, you said tear the house down with their athleticism. It's a different type of match we were not used to seeing.
Yeah, because they didn't need a storyline to really get them over. Like, they just did it all in the ring.
Yeah. Adam, when were you first exposed to Rey Mysterio? When do you first remember watching him?
I can't remember the year, but it was probably around the time when I first started watching wrestling.
So he was already wrestling in WWE when you started getting into it.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I got into it. I had never even heard of WCW or ECW or anything like that. WWE was pretty much all I knew. But I mean, it's one of those things where looking back, you can't help but gravitate to the guy. Whereas all these, the mask was cool, the bright colors, it's always a different mask and pant color combination that he had going on. The from all the moves, you know, the 619, which was just a, you know, when you're watching it, even in middle school, it's just a mind blowing finishing move that he's beaten all these guys that are definitely head and shoulders taller than him and outweigh him by so much. And, you know, just, you know, everyone, you know, loves the underdog, you know, what was he called at one point, the biggest little man in sports entertainment or something like that. And, you know, it's just, he was just so cool to watch, man. And he still is, you know, he's been able to keep it going all these years. And, you know, even the time when he went away from WWE and wrestled for Lucha Underground and ultimately AAA for a while, just still someone always worth watching.
And I believe he was at the first All In, right? Or All Out?
No.
No, I think he was he? I think he was back with WWE by that point.
The first pay-per-view that Cody did.
All In.
All In, yeah. I believe he was in the. I believe he was at All In.
Yeah,
And
he was. He was backstage. I thought he was back. I thought he was just backstage.
Wasn't it Rey Mysterio and the Lucha Bros?
I mean,
I'm trying to find the card.
Yeah.
All In.
Yeah.
While you search for that, what about you, Jimmy? When was the first time you saw Rey Mysterio?
When I saw him, it was actually in 2006 when he was world heavyweight champion for the first time, and he was just on the end of the the tail end of the sorry, I can't think, the JBL feud where he made him.
It's the Euro. It's the Euro talking to you.
No, it was when the
Here it comes again.
no, I was actually looking up if Mysterio is All In. But it was when Mysterio had the feud with JBL and the machismo, you little jumping bean, sort of stuff. Just JBL would say stuff that probably wouldn't pass today, but that's what made JBL a great heel.
JBL is a guy that was definitely there at the right time.
Right time and
right place, right time. Right place, right time for JBL's character.
But yes, SmackDown 06 era.
Yep.
May is when I started getting into wrestling, and that's when I first started seeing Rey Mysterio and saw wrestling. So I saw WrestleMania 22, but on VHS with my cousins. But the first time started watching wrestling on the regular was Mysterio. Seeing how that story was going to progress from JBL to King Booker to Chavo Guerrero Jr. to him being on the show for a while and then coming back. I quit matches and the whole everything, and then seeing him retire JBL a few years later at WrestleMania, beating him in a definitive. Because JBL said he'd there'd be a definitive winner at WrestleMania, and there was Rey Mysterio, and I think JBL did it in respect to Rey Mysterio's big brother, basically, Eddie Guerrero. And just seeing him the last couple, just when I saw him all the way till he left WWE in 2012, 2013. And then when he came back, I've been ever so fondly of him being back, and just I was ecstatic last year when I was in Dallas seeing him at Mania. But Ben, your thought? When was the first time you saw Mysterio?
Yeah, I've already answered the question, Jimmy.
Adam, did you find the card for the All In PPV?
Yes, I did. He was in the he was on All In. The Golden Elite versus Bandito, Ray Phoenix, and Rey Mysterio.
Right, yeah, Lucha Bros. Who's in the Golden Elite again? What was it? Omega, Bucks and Omega?
That's the Elite. The Golden Elite are Ibushi and the Bucks.
Oh, Bushi and the Bucks. Okay,
Ray Phoenix, yeah, Bendito.
that was a good match. That was the last match. I think that was the main event.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was the main event of the show. And then you can guy like Rey Mysterio, you know, first something like All In, guy like Rey Mysterio, even just main eventing that, being in the main event with guys like Ibushi and the Bucks and I mean Ray Phoenix and geez, such good stuff.
What did you guys think about him being the heavyweight champion? Because I mean, I personally didn't really buy that. I mean, I know it's like the highest honor that you can have, but someone of his stature and size, I thought maybe I see it best.
I think he lost when he was supposed to lose, but I think he, you know, I'll say like the way I look at a guy like Rey Mysterio is like he uses his body as his weapon versus trying to hit somebody in the face with their fist. So the way that I kind of suspend my disbelief with Rey Mysterio, and it's like, okay, the guy's like 160 pounds. I don't care how big you are. If I have a 160-pound guy jumping on top of me, it's going to friggin' hurt. Right? I don't care if I'm jacked up, 320, whatever like that. You know, no. It's going to hurt if I have somebody coming full force, boom, hitting me. So, you know, I like the 619. I just think it takes too long.
Well, and also back, I mean, when he was world champion, it was a $175.
But still, like I get that. But I can see him being a
It was
kid. Like,
I mean, it was pretty stacked in stature.
yeah. Oh, he's in great shape, Mysterio.
Yeah. No, I mean, he was a little beefier back then, but
Yeah.
when he was world champ. But
I mean, he's definitely deserving of the Hall of Fame. I just wasn't sure whether putting the heavyweight title on him was.
I mean, it's the same thing with Brett and Sean.
Believable.
It's
Not really. Brett and Sean are 230, 240.
220. But
anyway, I just thought I'd throw it out there.
I feel like Ray was more credible than Brett.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Now you're just trying to get heat. Now
Yeah,
you're doing it on purpose.
Not the biggest Bret Hart fan.
Yeah, and my point exactly.
Obviously.
Ben, is it just the weight that's an issue as to why you don't think he should have been world heavyweight champion?
Oh, it's just his height as well. I mean, like you're competing against Brock Lesnar, Big Show, Undertaker, and then you're 5'3". You know, like.
But he didn't beat those guys, and that's what I appreciated. He never beat those guys. He never beat the Undertaker, never beat Brock Lesnar, never beat Kane. But I could see him beating guys like John Cena. I could see him beating a guy like Kurt Angle, Randy Orton, because it's a little bit more. I just think Ray knew how to wrestle, knew how to capitalize. You know, it's more like because everybody always would kick out after they were pinned by Rey Mysterio. So it was always like, he got him. Like, that's what I believed about Ray. It's like, he could just get you.
Yeah. And I mean,
He
did beat guys like, he didn't beat, because Brock Lesnar, he took his ball, he got fed up with the travel like a little sissy and went and tried his hand at the Minnesota Vikings, failed at that. I mean, barely got cut, but.
He was the last guy cut.
But he went to the UFC. So, I mean, Brock
and hadn't played football since high school.
Yeah.
And he was the last guy cut.
And got in that motorcycle car accident, had to have his jaw wired shut, had his groin torn, all right before preseason camp started.
Yeah.
He's out there. He had used wire cutters to cut his jaw back open, but he still has a torn groin out there, and he's still man number 54, the last guy cut to make it the official 53.
I don't want to say, I'm not saying he's an actual sissy. I'm just saying, like, he wasn't cut. He wasn't meant for travel like the wrestling travel.
No, he didn't like it. It's okay. That's why he bought a plane.
But Mysterio, back to Mysterio, our main topic. The the credible victories he got was guys like Matt Hardy, John Cena, Angle, Orton, Eddie, and Booker, and RBD, like all those somewhat smaller guys, but just and he did it so well that he made them shine. Like Cena, everyone wants to badmouth Cena. Oh, he's only got 5 moves and blah blah blah. He ain't that great of a person and talent and blah 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 and yada yada yada. Anyway, but when there's a few matches that Mysterio had with Cena that made Cena shine like $1,000,000, and just his in-ring psychology. I mean, Cody Rhodes' first match, pay-per-view match, was against Rey Mysterio.
Yeah.
And I mean, how can you get any bit better than that? One of the all-time greatest high flyers in this history, in this business history. And you're getting the rub, and he went over at Mania. Like, how do you don't get to that spot without guys like a Mysterio to put you over to help get. So I do believe he should have that title reign in 2006 and then 2010, because he lost to Kane in a Money in the Bank cash-in, Money in the Bank pay-per-view.
I suppose it comes down to also recognition by WWE to say, look, you're doing a fantastic job. Like, here's the title, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sure. And some of the matches that we were talking about, definitely the Halloween Havoc 1997 one versus Eddie Guerrero, and you just, both of those guys, top of their game. I mean, it was flawless. I did not find there was not one move that was botched. There was nothing. It was flawless. Even like the referee was in position every single time that he needed to be. And just the way that Eddie, so it was a mask versus title match for those of you who not familiar with it. And the way that Eddie would start ripping the mask off of the eye and just start digging in and ripping it. I mean, the way he told the story, and then he opened the mask just enough where you can see Mysterio's face sell the fear of losing his mask and the look in his eye. And it was, I mean, again, as Jimmy's boy Eric Bischoff loves to say, when pro wrestling is done right, there's nothing better.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, there's nothing better, right? And it's a story. I mean, it's fantastic. And watching those guys go back and forth, it's just it's unbelievable. And then you watch him and Dean Malenko from Havoc 96. It's unbelievable. And matches like him and Eddie, Dominic custody on a pole match. Dominic on a pole match. So Eddie versus.
It was a briefcase.
Oh man, and then not only that, but now we get to watch Dominic. I mean, dude got to fight his dad at WrestleMania.
Yeah,
That's pretty amazing.
I'm done. Like if I'm a wrestler, like I am done. Like there is nothing better than that. If I'm a guy like Rey Mysterio.
Like the custody in a briefcase ladder match.
Yeah.
That was just spectacular, with Dominic shaking the ladder trying to get Eddie down, and Eddie like the finger.
Oh, it was great. And just Eddie playing the part. And I mean, and just even just now watching Dominic as a heel in the Judgment Day going to prison. I mean, dude gets it. Like the dude gets it.
He's like his puppy.
Yeah. And you threw Rhea Ripley in there, and I mean anything with Rhea Ripley in there is good by me. So
I loved at the Hall of Fame how he just got up and walked out
Oh, it was great.
before Ray started talking. Like that was great.
That was
Yeah,
a great
it was
build.
great.
That was a great build to that match.
I didn't think I was gonna hate Dominic's character as much as I do, and I hate it so much that I'm finding I love it. You know, it's like that. It's because he's really trying to be a guy that he's really trying to be a heel that doesn't like. That's why JBL was so great. That's why Bobby Heenan was so great. They really tried to be hated heels, and everybody's too busy trying to be a cool heel these days.
Yeah.
Well, and they did it so tastefully. I mean, there are some heels that are just do it tastelessly.
Yeah, they do it for the sake of doing it.
Like MJF thinks he's a generational talent.
I see him Punk.
I don't see it. Like I'm not saying he's not a bad when he does wrestle, he's not a bad talent, but I'm just like he's not at that Roman Reigns level, I don't think.
No, not
He's
yet.
not-
Just a sidewalk, just a sideways for a second. I apologize. But like I said, JBL, Mysterio, that whole dynamic, Jericho, Mysterio, that dynamic. That was some great stuff with Mysterios.
What about some of your guys' favorite matches, Ben and Adam?
To go with the whole Jericho Mysterio, they had a mask versus title again. And this was when I think as part of the build to this pay-per-view match, Jericho had snatched Ray's mask off, and Ray, being so concerned about not wanting his face to be seen, ended up eating the pin so that he could get out of there and keep his face covered. So they go for that same spot again to close out the pay-per-view match, and Jericho snatches the mask off again, and he's celebrating, but Ray pops up. He had a second mask on under the one that Chris snatched off, and I've always thought that was a great finish, considering what the stakes and all that. So that was definitely one of my favorite Rey Mysterio matches.
And which one was that from again? Which
I'd give me some time to Google it.
GTS.
Let's see, Extreme Rules 09, they had
Google the internet.
That's-
Go Google the internet on that one.
because Extreme Rules 09 was with like the one where everything was extreme, but they really had one chair shot.
The Bash 2009.
-09. I'm gonna watch that when we get off the phone. Bash 09. All right. What about you, Mr. Jones?
Well, the Halloween Havoc one's my favorite, against Eddie from '97 that you just covered. To be honest, nothing else really stands out, because I was sort of in and out, with watching. But one memory that stands out is when he was on the stretcher, and I think it was Brock Lesnar picked him up and swung him like a baseball bat against the ring post.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that looked and sounded brutal. So
That's
but yeah, like just
that's an amazing amount of trust you're putting in somebody else.
The power involved with that. I mean, that could have done some real damage.
Yep.
If it was botched.
Could have
Like
broken
one wrong.
spine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So but no, just like I just love his look, and what he's all about. The 619, like the way he sets that up, gets the crowd involved. Like, you can see the kids sort of, on the edge of their seat because they know it's coming, and just highly entertaining. Like, there's never a slow or dull moment in his matches. Like, everything's planned out, everything's fast and well executed. And like when he's in the ring against like Eddie or Jericho, like they're always there for him in the right spots at the right time, and it's pretty amazing.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Any final thoughts on Rey Mysterio Jr.?
I've got one that I just remembered. This was back when I started watching and thought wrestling was at least when it came to the matches part, more real, more than it turned out to be. Ray was facing Chavo I don't know. I cannot tell you the year or anything like that. I remember, I think Ray had a black and gold mask on, and this was back when Ray's mask was just kept together with that little chin strap, Velcro chin strap, and he kept having to adjust it. Making sure it was on. And he ended up losing the match to Chavo. And I remember thinking, if there was a way he could secure his mask better to where he wasn't so concerned about it being on or not, he probably would have won that match. Like, damn.
That's a fun story. All right, boys. Well, before we go any further, I want to show you all a trick that I learned from Pastor Tim last night. So Pastor Tim is a whiskey connoisseur. So I always would see him dropping the whiskey in the side of his mouth. And so finally I saw it last night and I asked him, well, what are you doing? What's the reason you put it in the side of your mouth or whatever the case is? So what he taught me a trick was, he's like, close each nostril off and take a sniff of the whiskey. Because each nostril will give you a different smell. And it is amazing how much it changes the way you drink it. So sniff both sides and then pour it into the side of your mouth and let it settle into the bottom of your lips.
Okay.
And it is something else. Now, I'm not a whiskey drinker, but that was the best sip I've ever had in my life when he taught me how to do that last night.
Do we need to do a PSA to sniff your alcohol responsibly?
Sniff your alcohol responsibly. Make sure we all are at our home. Make sure we all do it at home.
If they're at home, maybe at a bar, if he's kind of having an Uber.
Exactly. So Jimmy from the heart, what are we going to be talking about today?
So I've bought 2 of these before. I bought, this is the SmackDown Tag Team title from the Ruthless Aggression era. And the second, so Rey Mysterio has won this title with 2 different people, Edge and Eddie Guerrero. I bought 2 because I gave one to Kickout crew member Adam from Bama. Because I've gotten to know him really well over the last couple of years, and I felt like I was the Rey Mysterio to his Eddie Guerrero.
Okay.
And just like I said, Rey Mysterio has been part of my watching of wrestling since I started. So when these came available on the shop, I had jumped at the first chance I could get to get both. And when I gave Mr. Bama the other one at Top Guy Weekend this last year in 2022 on because everyone knows I give more than I probably should, but I feel like that's also Rey Mysterio's. He gives more than he probably should.
All right. I like it. Thank you, Jimmy. So Jimmy is also given us songs for today as well. So for Mike's Music Corner, at Jimmy's suggestion, we have the song Mr. Lonely by originally Bobby Vinton, and more recently, the man we all know as Akon. And well, let's start with Jimmy. Why did you pick these 2 songs? Or why did you pick this one song?
When I was like, came out 03, 04. When I first heard it, I just my brother wanted to hear it actually for the first time. I was like, I was against it, but when I heard it, I actually liked it, and my brother hated it. And I've always in more recent years, I've become more country, but country and rock. But when I was early on, I was hip hop, and it just I'm a lot more sentimental than people realize.
I think you're exactly as sentimental as people realize, by the way.
Maybe more, but
No, I think you're just about as sentimental as people think you are. However,
I've had. It's just one of those songs I've always liked.
all right, I like it. And I know that you are a big Akon fan as well. After spending some time with you in San Antonio listening to music, we had a chance to talk about Akon. So I'm liking that as well. So which version do you like better?
Akon.
Akon. And you just explained why. So I appreciate that.
And there is actually a Spanish version, kind of. It's called Solito, but it's in that style. It's still
Same melody.
a little more fast paced, but yeah.
Same melody, same song, just in a different language.
Look, and a few more people involved. And
Oh, nice. Solito. I'm gonna write that down.
Solito.
Yep. Solito. All right. Thank you, Jimmy. Adam, did you get a chance to listen to the songs?
I did, and much like Jimmy, the Akon version is when I first heard it came out. I definitely remember having it on whatever thing I was listening to music on at the time, probably an iPod or whatever. And just between the two, I'm more used to the Akon version. Definitely, gravitated to that one more than the original.
All right. What about you, Ben?
I actually hadn't heard Akon's version. I didn't know that he did that. So I only knew of the original ones, which is the version I prefer. I just felt that type of song, it was sung better by Bobby Vinton, and the instrumental, I felt suited that type of song rather than the hip hop kind of background. But yeah, so that's my take on it. And I feel like I heard the original like on a TV show or movie over the years.
I'm laughing because every time I hear that song, I think the episode of The Fresh Prince where Carlton.
That's where I heard it.
That's
where you
right.
heard.
That's the first time I heard it too. It was on The Fresh Prince.
Thank you.
So for those in the audience, all two of you, we there's an episode of The Fresh Prince where at the end of the show, Carlton's singing that in his apartment, and it's just so Carlton. So it's fantastic.
I think that's when they moved into the college campus, him and Will.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think he met Tyra Banks, and Tyra Banks like stood him up or something like that. So it's funny. Yeah. Fantastic show. Fantastic show. For those of you who've never seen it, please go out of your way to watch it. Fantastic show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And for those of you who want, I could wrap the whole entire intro. Won't do it now, but comment below.
That could be bonus content.
Bonus content. Comment below if you'd like to see me wrap the whole entire, not the whole entire, but just the TV version of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme.
And then Chris Rock can come out and slap you.
And then Chris Rock can come out and slap me. Yep, exactly.
Let me get Jeff Jarrett. Keep my wife's name out. Yep.
Thank you, James. Mr. Jones. I'm jonesing for some Jones jokes.
Should we do some questions about Ray?
What do you think? It's up to you. The next two segments are yours. So would you rather do questions first? Or you want to do jokes first?
I think we should do the questions first.
All right. So ask the bros. Or
well, I mean, this week's edition, is going to be called Ask Mike Whitaker from the Kickout Crew. Why is it called that? Because he interrupted our social media posts and answered all the questions that were asked of us. So really, we could just skip this and you can ask Mike directly, but I'll read them out. So, Devin Dowling, also from the Kickout Crew, he asks, after Eddie passed, Ray got the big push from WWE. Do you think this push would have worked with Chavo instead of Ray? So before you guys answer, let's see what Whitaker says. Whitaker says, no, I don't think WWE really saw anything in Chavo other than he was just there. So, but do you think Chavo would have worked?
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't even have to really go into that detail for
Yeah, just a straight no.
Yeah.
Maybe a week it might have worked, but hindsight.
Yeah.
I couldn't
So
see
Devin also asks, oh,
no, I'm sorry. I couldn't see him winning the Rumble. It would have to be like a one-off match, like you said, like a I got you kind of deal. Won it for Eddie, but I couldn't see him doing what Ray did as far as winning the Rumble.
Well,
No.
okay. So the night after WrestleMania 22, Chavo did have a match against Shelton Benjamin for the IC title. I could see Chavo holding that for like a week or two, or until Backlash. I could have seen that, like a feel good type of thing.
but the longevity of being in that position,
No,
Yeah.
he's a great worker, but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, no, that's fair
Chavo.
So Devin also wants to know who was your favorite tag team partner that Ray ever had, and his favorite was Billy Kidman. But first, let's see what Whitaker says. Whitaker says Kidman was good, but I think it would have to be Eddie.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, I don't know about that. Eddie?
I like the Batista tag team, but I would say my favorite is him and Edge.
Okay.
Batista was my favorite. Just the stark difference of the 5'6", 175-pound guy and the 6 foot whatever, nearly 300-pound, muscle dude. The power and the.
It was a great. It really was. They made a really good tag team.
Really complemented each other.
Yeah. Actually, I'm going to take mine back. I think mine is the same as yours, Adam. It's Batista and Ray.
Plus, then you have that moment where Ray interrupted Batista pinning the Undertaker in that fatal 4-way, and after the match, him choking Ray against the ring, screaming, "You were supposed to be my friend."
Oh my gosh. Gallagher. I'm sorry, Gallagher and I were talking about this earlier.
We were. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier when we were talking about like when he got in there. So, what about you, Ben?
I only really saw him with Eddie, so I mean that's what I'm gonna have to say. So, yeah. Okay, Brad Stanton, also of the Kickout Crew. Why put him in the Hall of Fame prior to retirement? Was it all part of an angle with his son? Does this take legitimacy away from the Hall of Fame because they did it this way? So let's see what Whitaker says, because this is his show. So he says, why wait till he is retired to go in? Does that mean Hall of Famers shouldn't wrestle now? What do you guys think?
So I don't think him going in before he retires is that big of a deal. We're talking about a Hall of Fame that doesn't even exist. All that, but I will say, from a personal standpoint, I did not like the continuing of the angle during the Hall of Fame. I see the Hall of Fame as something that we're supposed to be celebrating the legacies and the careers of the people going in, It's a reason why I am not the biggest like as much as I would love to attend the Hall of Fame, when I hopefully one day do my full WrestleMania experience. Not the biggest fan of fans in attendance for it because of the chanting and like booing, the current stars because they're, like they'll show Corbin on the screen or whoever, and they'll start booing. Like we're there to celebrate legacies and careers and just pro wrestling in general. It's not your typical wrestling show. So the Dominic part I didn't like. I don't care if people go in before they're retired or not, though.
Yeah, that's good. Next question is from Adam Demoy from the Ad Free Shows Facebook group. How did you feel about Ray not acknowledging anything he accomplished in WWE during his Hall of Fame speech and basically just repeating everything Conan already said? Now, surprisingly, Whitaker hasn't answered this one already. Open to you guys.
I didn't see the speech, so I can't comment.
Adam's a troll.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I didn't see the speech either, but I feel, if that's what happened, I feel about it the same way I felt about Undertaker leaving Mick Foley out of his speech. It is what it is. It's not that big of a deal. Don't read too much into it.
Yeah.
like,
All right.
like they're trying to go as fast as they can with, like, they're trying to get everybody out of there by.
Yeah.
I would think that I think he was more impactful in WCW just because of the cruiserweights and how he came up. But it's I don't think his WWE story is finished. That's why I if I had to make a guess, I don't think his WWE story is finished yet. So I don't think he wanted to comment on anything that wasn't finished, quite not quite done yet. Because I mean, here's the thing, right? So he's still playing the angle with Dominic, right? Dominic walked out of the Hall of Fame, which was great, by the way. When he did that. But if you think about it, he didn't thank his family. He didn't do anything like that. He just kind of he did his thing. So maybe maybe I don't want to say part of the angle, but maybe there's something else. Maybe there's something behind that. Why he didn't say it. Maybe he's gonna put a book out.
Right.
Yeah. So Adam Demoy also has another question. Why do you think Eric Bischoff was too stupid not to market or sell any of Ray's masks during WCW? And does that just prove what a business genius Mr. McMahon is? So let's see what Whitaker says. Whitaker says, not selling the mask had nothing to do with Eric. It was WCW. And I think what he's trying to say there is that it was up to WCW's marketing team really to push that, perhaps.
There was, and because there really was no merchandise
Department.
How do you, like, how that has WWE has royalties for the merchandise for these superstars? There was no. So how do you? I mean, yes, you could sell them, but like, you know what I mean, and after that, Adam Boy, fuck you, Eric's my friend.
Dude, come on. No more nonsense.
What about Adam? Thanks for watching and thanks for the questions.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Let's go with that.
Yeah, next question.
Well, just real quick to piggyback off what Mike said, that wasn't Eric's decision. That was Turner. That was people higher up on the corporate food chain than Eric. That just boils down to how amazingly stupid Turner was in running WCW.
That's basically what my FU was for, because it wasn't Eric's fault. It was Turner.
No, it wasn't.
Adam, for your question.
Yeah. So next question is from Sean Kennedy.
Yeah,
thank you, Mike. How is Ray and his family so cool with doing like a family drama on air? Like, how much sort of prompting and guidance and all that would be required for them to be okay with it all?
What do you think, Ben? We've been answering all the questions. What do you think?
Hey, I'm the question asker.
Okay. I
It's a
like
great
it.
way to say I don't know.
Does Whitaker have an opinion?
Does he?
No, because this came in late, so thank goodness.
Okay.
Actually, I'll
I
start.
love you, Whitaker.
We love you, Whitaker. Hope
We
you're
do.
doing okay.
What do you think, Adam?
I kind of think it just boils down to personal preference and taste. You know, if you feel that, you know, because especially now with social media, so not so much with the custody storyline between him and Eddie, but you know, in the pandemic when his daughter was like storyline wise dating Buddy Murphy and you know, now this all this stuff with Dominic, you know, just are you going to be able to withstand, you know, if you hop on social media, all the stuff that wrestling fans can say about whether or not they like what's going on and things like that. So I think it just boils down to a personal decision, a personal preference of, yeah, we'll get involved in this, or no, let's not, you know.
Yeah, because like,
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah, very good answer.
but for the record though, when I was Dominic did discuss or like on a the rivalries thing, like how he got involved because the way he sat him down, asked him, "Do you want to do you want to do? Would you be willing, okay, to do this?" And he's like, Dominic's thinking in his head, "Okay, if I get money, I can get some candy." So I was like,
That's fantastic.
That's why Dominic did what he did. It's like that's why he did this last Eddie.
All right, so we've got a question here from Mike Whitaker. Now, he hasn't answered his own question, so I think this is the first time that he's actually helping the show. So a lot of people would say Ray versus Eddie at Halloween Havoc was his best match, but would you say Eddie was his best opponent? Like, if not, who?
I think Eddie is his best opponent personally.
Yeah.
What about you, Jimmy?
Debate. It's a 3-way tie for me.
Okay.
Eddie, Edge, Angle.
Okay. All right, good one. So I'm going to finish this off with a story from Mark Keith about Rey Mysterio. He posted it in the Facebook group, and it's absolutely amazing. So I'm going to read it as he typed it. So I went to a SmackDown house show during the period Rey was World Heavyweight Champion. He teamed with Batista, who was coming back from an injury. I had written a poem in memory of Eddie Guerrero and printed it off with the watermark of Eddie and framed it. I was sitting front row, so he saw it after the match, which they won. He came and got it and walked around the ring holding it up. The person in charge of music started playing Eddie's music. Ray sat in the middle of the ring with the big gold in front of it and leaned in to read it. Afterwards, he was walking around the ring taking pictures and signing autographs. When he got to me, I told him that I wrote that and bought it for him to keep. And with a big smile on his face, he said, "Thanks, man. He is one of the nicest celebrities I've ever met." Well, how great is that?
That's an awesome story. I like that.
So thank you, Mark, for sending that in. That was really good to share that.
Great way to go out.
Yeah.
That was great. That's really great. And
all right. Are you guys ready to laugh?
Always.
Always ready to laugh.
Are you actually gonna tell something funny?
Hey, quick question. Are we gonna get heat for this afterwards?
No,
I don't know.
Jimmy,
You're the heat magnet.
Jimmy, that was back in the 1st of April. Like, that was 16 days ago. Now, the good thing about this also is that Whitaker has nothing to do with this segment. Okay, so we can move on from that.
Yay.
He didn't answer your jokes either. That's too bad.
I might have to put a picture of Whitaker on our thumbnail for this week's episode. All right, here we go. Today I found out that Dwayne Johnson lives in the apartment above mine. I can't believe that for years I've been living under a rock.
Mm,
Okay.
mhm.
What do you call security guards? Hang on. Yeah. What do you call security guards working outside Samsung shops?
Hmm.
You call them guardians of the galaxy.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. I asked my wife how to turn Alexa off. She said, "How about walking through the room naked?" What?
That one's
That's a
good.
bit rude. That's rude. That's not very nice.
You should tell them the ones
Okay.
you.
My son Luke. What's that?
So you should tell them the ones you sent me. For when I did that water school.
Oh, actually, maybe next week. Okay. My son Luke loves that we named our children after Star Wars characters. My daughter Chewbacca, not so much. Oh, yes, I got a
Jimmy.
cough laugh out of Jimmy. All right, last one. When I was little, my parents always fed me alphabet soup, claiming that I liked it, but they were just putting words in my mouth.
That's a good one.
All right. Jonesy's jokes, everybody.
Thank you. All right, well, that's it for this episode of Zip Code Bros, episode 6. Next 2 episodes, we're going to be doing Rowdy Roddy Piper with hopefully a special guest, and The Rock. No particular order, but those are our next 2 episodes. If you guys have any questions, comments, great stories like Mark, leave them below, comment on, and we'll try to get to them as we can. Like I said, we try. We will get to them when we can. Like we got nothing else better to do than to talk about, whatever. Anyway, Adam, where can we find you, brother?
Find me on Twitter for my personal and pro wrestling takes, at the ARJ brand for my football takes, at Coach A Jefferson. You can also find my solo podcast, Just One Man Slots, on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and on Twitter at Just Thoughts Pod.
All right. What about you, Mr. Sorensen? Where can we find you?
Not pulling my hair. OG James ad free on the Twitter, and then what was it? Jimmy Sorensen 97 on the Instagram. And if you have any hate tweets, just send them to OG James ad free.
All right. What about you, Ben?
So on Twitter at AFS Ben Jones, and also at Zip Code Bros on Twitter. And just quickly, a shout out and congratulations to the Kickout crew. At the time of this recording, they're filming their 1-year anniversary show tomorrow. So congratulations, guys. And obviously, you know how we feel about you. So yeah, continued success.
Yes.
That's on 1 year.
Hoorah, hoorah, hoorah. And maybe we'll have maybe one day we'll have a cross-promoted show where we do that fantasy booking WrestleMania that we did last week on our show. That was fun. And again, congratulations, guys. Well, that's it for our episode.
One more thing. Where can I find you, Mr. Gallagher, on social media?
Thank you for interrupting, sir. You could find me on the Twitter at Mike Gurr 0905. That's MikeGRR 0905. And I am on Facebook. And as Ringo Starr likes to say, peace and love, peace and love. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Zip Code Bros.